Hey there, how are you today? My name's Dana Damara, and you have landed on Astrocast. This is a special report for the entire month of April. Now, I don't always do this, excuse me, and I don't always do it because, honestly, because sometimes I just don't have the space, right? So I'm really doing my best this year to commit to this. And I feel like this month is really important for you to know what's happening. So I'm going to give you some dates and then you can write them down if this works for you. If it doesn't and you want to just keep it all in your heart, that's great as well. But this is a really beautiful astrological month. April is actually a very opportunistic time for turning the wheel of your life, like shifting the pace, shifting the patterns, shifting the path of where you're going. We start the month off on April 1st with Mercury retrograde in Aries. So Mercury ruling over communication, travel, technology, right? The way we think, the way we process information, it goes into retrograde in the first sign of the zodiac wheel. Aries is the first sign. So when we think of new beginnings and we think, oh, yay, I'm moving toward this new moon on April 8th, Mercury retrograde is going to be like, maybe you should rethink some of the things that you're moving toward and why, right? Um, so again, I talked about this in the weekly forecast, but I feel like it's important to note it now is that yes, Mercury retrograde wants us to kind of, slow down our thought process, but it's because we are being asked to refine what it is that's important to us. We're sitting in the middle of this, full moon lunar eclipse and new moon solar eclipse. It's a portal of change and transformation. So asking yourself, what do I really want? And dialing up your intuition because Mercury retrograde is a beautiful time to listen to your intuition. It's beautiful to slow down the thought process, to ask yourself, you know, wait, how is this really landing with me? Um, it's important. So that's April 1st. I could go off on all of that. And obviously I have, so I'm going to move to the next thing. On April 3rd, Venus is going to conjunct Neptune. So I talked about this in the weekly as well, but Neptune is wonderful because it gets to the depths of things, but it can also lead you down a path of illusion or delusion. So when Venus conjuncts Neptune in the sign of Pisces, which is already extremely intuitive and psychic and magical, they come together to um, uh, amplify your creative energy. Okay, so you might get flashes of insight, you might get these really great ideas, but remember, Mercury retrograde in Aries. Try to rein those rein it in. Don't launch anything just yet. It is a beautiful time to, if you are working on a project, let's say you started a project a couple months ago, right? And you're like, oh wait, I should maybe go back to that. I have this great idea. It's okay to go back to something, but I wouldn't launch something new. That's all I can say about that. April 5th, Venus is going to move into Aries. I love when Venus is in Aries because Venus in Aries is all about leadership. It's all about, saying, I have this creative spark, I have this thing, I want to take leadership of it, I want to take ownership of it. I'm ready to amplify my creativity. It's a beautiful time to do this. And just remember, Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde. Okay, now I'm going to do a special report for the new moon solar eclipse, but I'm going to talk about it here just a little bit. New moon solar eclipse, April 8th. It is visible across North America and Central America. So depending upon where you are, this is the longest eclipse that we will experience in our lifetime, which means that portal is open longer than usual. Okay, which means when we set intentions on a new moon, which we can be doing, or I don't want to say should, but it is beneficial to set our intentions at the new moon. This new moon in particular is extremely transformative. It is all about seeing things from a new light. It's all about clarity. It's all about stepping into your leadership. It's all about things being revealed. It's all about where am I co-creating with my highest power, and what can I bring to manifestation, right? And so that's why those aspects, those transits are before this new moon are really important to consider, right? Like just be in your deepest acknowledgement of what's truth for you. Um, Also on the new moon solar eclipse, we've got Chiron conjuncting Aries. Now, here's the deal. When Chiron conjuncts Aries, those of you, my friends, my sisters and brothers that were born between, I think it's 68 and 73, something like that. Anyways, you want to know where your Chiron is. Those of you who have Chiron in Aries, you this is a really big healing journey for you. Now, this new moon solar eclipse also conjuncts Chiron. Now, Chiron is the healer. Chiron is all about healing your abandonment wound. That's what Chiron brought to this existence via mythology. And so the story behind Chiron is that he used his abandonment wound to become a great healer and teacher. And those of you who have Chiron in Aries, this is a very powerful new moon. This is about you really utilizing your wounded pieces of yourself for um, good in the world, whether it's in your own nuclear family or in a bigger support of humanity. All is important. So a lot of energy around this new moon is about healing. And I would just pay attention to whatever's coming up for you during this new moon. uh, Ask yourself, a couple of things come to mind. Ask yourself, one, where have I avoided this before? Like, where have I just been like shoving this under the rug or hoping it'll go away or whatever? And how can I use this situation that maybe is an annoyance or um, brings up, you know, resentment, anger, frustration, anything besides love or courage or grace, and where can I use this energy to move into that space? Because whatever is going on, it is all about the healing. April 9th, that's really important. Again, I could do a whole thing on that one. April 9th, Mars and Saturn conjunct one another. Now, Mars and Saturn, when they conjunct one another, this is very combative. It's very volatile. Mars is the initiator, but Saturn wants rules and restrictions to be followed. So pay attention to how this energy feels for you, and try not to create conflict or hostility about something. Remember, we're still in the midst of Mercury retrograde, right? So just being mindful about the approach of movement forward, I guess. April 12th, the Sun and Mercury will conjunct one another. This is called Mercury cazimi. And when we have Mercury cazimi, it's the midpoint of the Mercury retrograde. So things will start to feel a little bit better, hopefully, or at least become a little bit clearer. Sometimes clarity feels better, sometimes not, but things will become clearer. April 19th is Taurus season, which I absolutely love. So we're moving out of that fiery movement forward into more of a nurturing, stable, how do I take all that fiery energy and actually turn it into something that's stable and supportive? That's Taurus season. Now, on April 21st, this one is really powerful. It's Jupiter and Uranus conjunct one another. And Jupiter and Uranus come together every 12 to 14 years. However, this is the first time they have come together in Taurus in a century. Okay, now keep in mind these planets are both moving forward. So this is powerful. Jupiter is expansion and growth and opportunity, wisdom, knowledge, right? And then Uranus is the planet of inspiration and liberation and freedom. And so, we could see some really big things happen as far as like technology, maybe growth spurts somewhere, or in our own life, we might have some deep alignment that comes into our existence. Maybe we've been thinking about something, or creating something in our mind. I really want to create this, or I'd like to manifest this, and it hasn't quite come to fruition. Around this time, something may come through where you're like, oh my gosh, this is it. Or somebody might call and say, I have this great idea. I heard what you said that you wanted. I want to do this too. Like whatever it is, something can culminate on that day. It's very, very powerful energy. So paying attention to, on a global level, the financial markets, AI, these technological advances, but also in our own lives, like how is this energy affecting me, right? April 21st, the sun is going to square Pluto. Now, when the sun squares Pluto, this is about, it's a little heavy because Pluto is depth. And so the sun squaring Pluto, it doesn't create, it's not a positive aspect, it's a challenging aspect. So the sun squaring Pluto is going to amplify and illuminate the places that need to be transformed in order for you to like move forward, right? On the other side, again, remember, this isn't like good or bad, right? It's like, how are we going to interpret this information? On the 23rd, we have a Scorpio full moon, and I will do a full report for the Scorpio full moon, but full moons in Scorpio are always intense and, nourishing, at the same time, very intuitive, and connect us to that inner world of ours. And then thankfully on April 25th, the Mercury will go direct. So we'll start to feel that energy of, clarity, and, we're still in this, like, we're still in a little bit of a fog because Mercury will still be in its shadow stage. And it won't move out of shadow stage until May, so May 15th. So being mindful of that, but we'll start to gain some clarity. And if there was a project that you wanted to start, or get going or something like that, after the 25th is a great time to do that. April 28th, Mars will conjunct Neptune in Pisces. This is really beautiful. It brings joy, it brings alignment, it brings intuitiveness, it brings passion, connectiveness, this energy where we feel really connected to the depths of who we are. And then April 29th, yeah, two more. April 29th, Venus is in Taurus. Venus loves being in Taurus. Venus and Taurus are like buds, Venus really is about beauty and love, and that sense of um, abundance and value, and really valuing yourself. And when it's in Taurus, it's all about the same things. It's beauty and love and pleasure. So Venus in Taurus is beautiful. That's April 29th. April 30th, Mars is going to move into Aries. And so this is courage and passion. And, so I feel like there's this build, build, build. And then we get to like the 25th and things start to kind of calm down. And then we have this beautiful energy of self-care. And then as we move, Mars and Aries, it's like, okay, time to move forward with the thing. So the month of April is really about transformative energy. I want you to be present for it. I want you to be in this, sure, write down the dates and everything. I think it's amazing to kind of have an idea of what's happening, but more than anything else, tune into, your value and your intuition, and asking yourself, like, well, what do I really want? Because I don't know, time's a ticking and life is short, and there's just so much to play with while we're here. So find the joy, find the stillness, find the peace and quiet, forgive yourself, and enjoy this month. Thank you so much. You guys have a beautiful day. Namaste.